Hi friends, welcome to our webinar on healthy cooking and gentle detox with Eleina Pomerants. I'm your host Olga Scher. I'm glad that you were able to join us and welcome Eleina. Eleina is a nutritionist, she is a practitioner, she has taught a bunch of Ayurvedic and cooking classes for Anti-Nanco and many other groups and organizations. She leads a wonderful Facebook group called Start a Healthy New You. I highly recommend for you to check it out. She posts recipes and wonderful nutritional and healthy cooking tips daily. Welcome, Eleina.
Thank you. Thank you for a wonderful introduction. Well, so I will give you a little bit more of my background. And I'm a dental hygienist by trade, and I started learning nutrition first in school as a dental hygienist, but the real lesson came in life, as it usually does. And the rest of my knowledge came through learning Ayurveda, through healing our daughter when she had some health issues, and I've learned how to implement Ayurvedic cooking and Ayurvedic knowledge into healing and through food and things like that. So we're going to talk about a couple of things today, and I'm going to try to be, let me just put this on for you guys. Basically, one of the biggest thing I find that questions that people have is when you hear the word detox, is that mind usually goes into a million different places because there's a million ways of doing this, and there's people have tried it for many reasons as well. So I'm just going to try to break it down as easy as possible. So what is detox? Detox in essence is a way of getting rid of certain toxins that have accumulated on our body. So, and why is it necessary to do it? It's necessary because if we don't do it, eventually we get ailments in our body that may cause illnesses or may just cause certain side effects that are unhealthy and unpleasant. Things how, like bloating or indigestion or energy level is off, or we start to get sick, or things start to happen, like even things like constant colds or skin rashes or things like that. A lot of these things are usually a sign that our body is toxic. And it sounds really bad, but it just means that our body has accumulated a bunch of bad things that kind of have to go away. And luckily, our body was created to do it on its own. So most of it gets eliminated via natural processes that our body can do. But unfortunately, because we're exposed to a lot of negative elements, we do need to help it a little bit, because especially as we age, the ability of doing it naturally becomes harder and harder for our body to do. So we just kind of have to help it a bit and just put it back into that natural process of eliminating certain toxins that we have picked up just through our daily activities, by food that we eat, by air that we breathe, things that we really have no control over. But at the end of the day, it does go back to normal, and our body does tend to recover as long as we take good care of it. So these are some of the things that people tend to do. You could do through fasting, you could do through juicing, you could do through elimination diet, like things like getting rid of gluten, getting rid of sugar, going on a low carb diet, raw. This can really make your head spin. This is just some of the examples. None of them are bad. But I always encourage people to listen to your body. If you want to start a journey of some of these things and go on these type of way of eating, like keto, paleo, vegetarian, vegan, Mediterranean, raw, any of these things, you have to do it one at a time. You have to do it very slowly. You have to listen to your body. Not all fits all. Kind of like, this is not something, for instance, I can do. Some of the things I can definitely not do. So you kind of have to listen and to your body and then try different things. Nothing wrong with it. Good thing this is all natural stuff. We're just playing with food. So all good, don't worry about it. But that's one of the ways to do it. My favorite way of detoxing is obviously through healthiest, cleanest food. So aside all of that, my favorite way to do this is through Ayurveda and through using certain spices. So this is the easiest way because you don't have to really think about all of these things, and nothing wrong with that, but you could definitely take that route if you like. But this is really kind of in a moment type of detox. It's very gentle. It's kind of, it works really, really well, and it's super, super healing. This is one of my favorite things. So what is Ayurveda? What are these spices and why, and so on and so forth. So the reason I like Ayurveda, it really looks at the body. Like I mentioned, we're all different. And, you know, when you go through all of these other diets that I was talking before, it really doesn't look at different types of body. It just, you know, try this, see if it works. Ayurveda is very specific, where it looks at 3 different types of bodies. It makes 3 different categories, and which makes a lot of sense because, again, we're not made the same. And all of us eat different things. All of us can digest different things. We can process different things. So it makes total sense to me. And it also good with, it teaches you how to combine different foods. And not all foods are made to be combined for digestion purposes. So you have to be very careful, and if you really want to do this, kind of what you eat together, what you don't eat together. And again, good thing about it, again, I'm really big on listening to your body. If you eat a certain food and a certain combination, you kind of feel off and you don't feel great, then most likely it's because your body's telling you this was probably not a good combination, not something you can digest. It was too spicy, too hot, too cold, just gave you some funny feeling, and you didn't feel great. We really need to feel energized after we eat. If you don't feel like you're added energy to your body, you probably didn't eat the right way or didn't eat the right food. So what the spices do, they're actually, they wake up your fire in your body, in essence, your metabolism. So when that's awake, it kind of moves the process. So this is one of the process of elimination, but it kind of starts it. So it will start the fire, and it will induce the metabolism to work. And it will also take out and eliminate these toxins that were already in us and maybe either started to cause issues or may cause issues down the line. Like right now, especially coming out of winter, is a really, really great, well, hopefully coming out soon, but as we're approaching spring, is a great way to do this. So this is one of the things that I absolutely love when it comes to detox food. This is an Ayurvedic dish called Kitchari, and we're going to get into the spices a little bit more, and I'm going to tell you which one I use and why I use it, and so on and so forth. So what happens in our body as it accumulates, as I mentioned, all of these toxins that were created naturally, it really starts to kind of give us signs of either illnesses or different ailments. And some people experience headaches, some people experience lethargy, where you start to feel really tired all the time, brain fog, where you really can't focus and things like that. Those are some of the things that signal that your body is probably starting to build up some toxins. So when you're using things like turmeric or mustard seed or cumin and coriander, we heard all of these, like, you kind of hear all these spices, you hear the names, they're cool, they're interesting, they're kind of hip, people use them for like a wow effect and things like that. But in reality, they're actually healing ailments. Ayurveda is not just about, Ayurvedic cooking is not just making meals. These meals are healing. And interestingly enough, Kitchari is such a gentle, delicate meal that it's used to give to babies. I don't know if they still do it, but I know for thousands of years, since Ayurveda been around, that they've actually used it as first baby food because of what it does to our digestive system. So where do you want to go to get rid of the toxin is through the gut. And what these spices do, they actually detoxify you big time. These are digestion kind of like little soldiers. And all of these spices, what they do, they'll open up the fire, and they'll push the digestion to work properly, and everything is just starts to work. It's like, you know, our body is sometimes maybe not the right way to do it, but I compare it to a car. I think it's when I work with clients, a lot of times I would tell them, well, you know, and especially in our society, car is considered, you know, something that we really like to take care of. Nothing wrong with that. We like our cars, we like to drive them, we enjoy them, but we also know that they have to be taken care of. So you have to put certain oils, you have to make sure the gas is the proper gas, high quality and things like that, then the car is going to work. Same thing with our body, basically, but for some reason, a lot of people don't tend to think of it that way. They like just kind of take the body for granted, because a lot of times we feel great and we think, well, you know, everything is fine. It's working fine. Nothing needs to be done. We're okay. And then some of us will experience some ailments and some illnesses, maybe, possibly, or some will not, luckily, which is great. Doesn't mean that there's something is not going on inside. That's why it's the same thing I kind of practice as a dental hygienist. In my office, I always tell patients, you know, it is great that you're feeling wonderful. I'm really happy for you. But it doesn't mean that you don't need to do certain things to better your health. Because first off, we don't know if there's something in store, that something may happen later, and it's just an easy fix. If you just do enough preventative things, you don't need to worry about things happening, because now you've taken good care of yourself. Same thing with this. It's really good to just be aware that once in a while we need to take care of our body. And this is one of the things that I really like about this, because this is the simplest, easiest way to do it, because by cooking these spices, by using them in your food, you're actually opening up a whole channel, if you would, of energy that will help you bring your body into the state where it could do things naturally. And as I mentioned before, our bodies naturally are capable of doing things, of fixing itself. So, but we need to help it, because if enough time lapses where it has too many things that kind of didn't happen the right way, it forgets how to do it, or it doesn't have the capability or the energy to do it. So consider this also as an energy source. So you're putting a certain energy into your body, and you're activating all of these wonderful things that our body naturally is capable of doing it, and it reboots itself. It literally reboots it. So detoxing, taking out the toxins, putting good things into our body, nourishing our gut, and really giving our body energy. And you can literally eat this food and nothing else. You can just go on Kitchari and eat it 2 or 3 times a day and stay on it for a few days. And I personally feel amazing doing it. I've done it a couple of times to get nothing else but that, especially if somebody is going through a healing process after flu or cold or any kind of ailment like bronchitis or anything like that, where your body starts to kind of really slow down and you get really tired. This will give you a lot of energy. It will give your body a really nice healing boost. And all of these spices act as your digestive soldiers, as I call them. They ignite your digestive system, and they take out everything that's not supposed to be there, and they just make everything process food easier. Turmeric is one of my favorite things. It also cleans your blood. It has great capability for healing. It's really good to use it together with pepper it actually, pepper activates curcumin, which is an ingredient and it's an element in turmeric that makes it powerful and super, super healing. So I use it for many, many, many different things. So in all of my Ayurvedic dishes, has that, as a matter of fact, a lot of my dishes just have turmeric, period. I just like to put it everywhere because I have such great ability to do different things. Coriander, cumin, mustard seed, all of these things that kind of have similar, they have minerals in them. They have all of these different things that kind of add stuff, things into your body that gets depleted. And herbs. I'm big on like adding green herbs, and cilantro is one of my favorite things. I do not cook it. I'll explain later when I talk to you about the actual dish, how to make it. I just kind of sprinkle it at the end. But one of the greatest things is that you add to the dish is called Asafoetida. Or another name is hing. It's basically, it's like a gum or a sap that comes from a tree, root of the tree, and it's one of the interesting things about it, it really has a funky smell, a little sulfuric-y kind of smell to it. So a lot of people don't like it because of it. So you usually have to store it in a tight jar or a place where it doesn't smell up your cabinet. But good thing is once you start cooking with it, the smell kind of goes away. So no worries about that. What it actually does is, a lot of people ask me what it is. So we are working with lentils, legumes, beans, you know, these are all legumes. So they do tend to make you a little gassy. So what Asafoetida does, it actually takes that away. It makes it easier to digest, and it helps you not to build the gas in your body. So you can use it in any dish, actually, that you have, you use beans in, or any legumes, or a crucifer, you know, the broccolis and cauliflower and things like that, even vegetables that can make you gassy, you can use that as well in that. So, so what else makes this dish so unique is the fact that the combination of lentils, the yellow mung bean lentils, the Indian lentils, and the basmati rice, it makes it a complete protein. It's a very, very unique combination. And a lot of times people would ask me like, well, rice is not that good for you, beans are not that good for you. There's a lot more to it. This really has to do with the fact of what type of beans these are, and these yellow mung bean lentils comes from mung dal, actually. The tiny little lentils, you see them in a picture there, they're super, super healthy, and they have the highest amount of protein in them. And it goes through a certain process that actually makes them a lot easier to digest than any other beans. And basmati rice is another thing that actually really good for you. And again, combining it with other things, it's not that we eat rice all day long, but if you combine it with lentils or with other vegetables, it actually aids the digestion. Does the opposite of what some people think it does. So the combination of the two, the lentils and the rice, make this dish super unique and make it a complete protein dish. It's filled with protein, it's filled with minerals, it's filled with all these spices that are really good for you and help you with everything that has to do with your digestion and your getting your body again back to the way it's supposed to be, into a good rhythm, if you would. So one of the biggest things when you're cooking with any legumes, you have to soak them. So the ideal way to do it is to do it overnight. But sometimes, you know, in our busy life, we forget. And even if I forget to do it overnight, I do it just for a couple hours. It's perfectly fine. What that does, it also makes them easier to digest. So definitely do that, a minimum of a few hours, ideally overnight. Same thing with rice. Rice is really good to soak, or just at least rinse it a few times, or both. soak for a few hours, and rinse a few times. All of those things will help you build a dish that's much easier to digest. You have a ginger root in here that's super healing, super great for digestion. So ghee, wonderful things about ghee, when people hear it's butter, and they don't want to eat dairy. If some of you are not aware that dairy is no longer an ingredient in this particular oil. The way it's made, eventually dairy kind of gets evaporated and becomes something else via the chemical reaction of process of making this ghee. Dairy gets eliminated. So it's an amazing, amazing oil, which kind of like buttery, but it actually doesn't have any dairy in it. So I find it very unique. And it's great for cooking things at high heat or for long periods of time, because it doesn't break down. It really, it preserves its original form. So it's really healthy, one of the healthiest things to cook with. You don't have to use ghee. You can totally use coconut oil. I love, 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 love coconut oil. I love both of them. So I just kind of interchange. I always have two in my cabinet. So either one is perfectly fine. So the next thing is, how do I make this a super, super healing dish? So one of the things that I believe is how you treat all of these spices. They have to be cooked a certain way. One of the things you don't want to do is you do not want to overheat them too much. So the first thing you do is I would recommend a heavy pot, and you put a little bit of 2 teaspoons of ghee or coconut oil, whatever you choose to cook with is perfectly fine. And you take first, if you're using the whole mustard seeds, mustard seed is not a must for this dish. You don't really have to use it. I like the flavor of it, so I like it. But if you do use it, what you have to remember is you put it first, and then you just simmer it for about a minute, or until it starts to pop. It literally starts to pop like a popcorn. Then it's ready. Then you can add the rest of the spices, and with very, very gently, preferably with a wooden spoon, we just kind of simmer it and saute it as if you would, and cook these spices and emulsify them together. And you're making this wonderful, wonderful aromatic presence of all of these things that activates each spice, and that's your base of this dish actually. So the process is literally a minute or two, and that's it. Then you can add the lentils, then we add the rice, and we add the water, and you're done. So it's kind of easy to do. There's really not much. It's a one-pot dish, and it just simmers, and it simmers about half an hour, 40 minutes or so. You have to sort of watch it, and sometimes the water runs out, so you have to add a little bit more. So every so often, just lift the lid and see how it is. Mix it a little bit if you like, but always make sure that it's not getting burned on the bottom, and mix it a bit or add a little water if that starts to happen. And once it's done, that's it. You can basically, like I said, you can substitute all of your meals and just do it for a couple of days, a nice maybe 3 or 4 day cleanse, eating just this. Put some herbs in there as well. As I mentioned, cilantro is really, really good. And that's it. This dish will make you feel so much better. It's one of the, like I said, one of my favorite things, and it's worth a shot to try it. And I like easy, and this is easy, and this is kind of what most people can understand. And what else I was gonna add something to that. What you can do with this dish, it's actually, besides the fact that it's detoxifying and it's healing and it's rebuilding of the immune system and all of these things, it could just be a meal. It could be a complete meal on days where you want to make something easy. What you do is you can add any kind of vegetables to it. You can saute them separately and mix everything together afterward, or you can cook it all together. It really doesn't matter, and you can experiment. That's another thing I always encourage people to do. Whether it comes to spices, whether it comes to different vegetables, try to buy different things every week. And when you go into the store, pick different things and different vegetables and just experiment with them. See what your palate will agree with, what it would crave, and then go with it. And you can create a whole meal by adding all kinds of different vegetables to Kitchari. And it just makes it a lot more fun. It makes it more interesting, and you can make a whole lot of meals out of it. So it's, if you would say, very, very versatile, in my opinion. So that would probably be, we're going to probably take a 10-minute of questions. If you guys have any questions for me, I'd love to answer them. And another thing I wanted to also share, I forgot to actually add salt in there. You can put a little bit of salt, but if you're using salt, you want to do it in the end. You don't want to do it in the beginning or during the process. It's better to do it in the end. You don't want it to, salt sometimes tend to disrupt the structure of the Kitchari. We just want it for a little bit of flavor and some minerals and things like that. It doesn't necessarily need to cook. One more thing, I've actually, as I was, I've been doing a lot of research on Kitchari and all kinds of different ways of doing it. You don't have to use the spices in the beginning. You can actually do it all the way in the end, and that doesn't really make that much of a difference. And I find, if you're doing it, if you want to make it quicker, you could just cook the rice and the lentils and saute the spices separately. What I do a lot of times, I just make the spices just to have them in a jar, and I can use extra for different meals. So you can do that way as well. If that's easier, that's fine too. There's really not super right or wrong way to do it. You could do it together, you could do it later. I personally find that the key to this whole thing is that emulsification of all of these spices that you're adding to this meal. I think that's what makes it super, super healing. You have the protein, complete protein, you have this wonderful dish, but actually the spices, it's like a pill from nature, really. You're making it that medicine that's kind of like gold, and it looks like gold, and I find it really golden because I found so many healing properties of it. And my kids already know. They don't really pay attention when everything is yellow, because they know that that's because I'm using all of these spices in pretty much everything. I just, if this is a time of the year right now where kind of each and every one of us get a little bit of a cold, or a little bit we're feeling down, we're not 100%, and to boost the immune system, I just add them in all kinds of different dishes. So you can use this knowledge and do so many things with it. And I would encourage you to read a little bit about Ayurveda to find out what body type you are. This specific dish, Kitchari, by the way, is what we call tridoshic, so it's good for anybody. It doesn't have any specific kind of when it comes to different types. It suits every type of body, so that's good. So you don't have to worry about that. But would be good to find out if you really want to get into it, and if you do want to get your body a kickstart and make you feel a little bit better, to find out what you are, and you can find out what are the things you should be eating, what you shouldn't be eating, what food's not good for your body to digest or combine. And if you guys want, I can send out a link where you can go on Deepak Chopra's website. They have a test for doshas. It's very easy. If it's something that you're interested in finding out where your body is. So that's probably it for the class. And let me see if we can If we can maybe unmute everybody and see if you guys have any questions for me, and we'll take maybe 10 minutes for that.
I have a question. Can you
Okay.
Okay. My whole life I have a problem with the gums. I have a gum disease. And every 3 months I have to go and take tons of stones from my bottom of my teeth. What would you recommend for this? Anything?
Stones? Oh, you mean calculus. Okay, so that,
yeah.
What do I recommend as far as to prevent that from happening?
Yes.
Build up?
Yes.
You can try oil pulling. Have you heard of it? Do you know what that is?
No.
So you can use coconut oil, and I believe it's a teaspoon or a tablespoon of coconut oil, and you just keep it in your mouth for about 20 minutes and you swish it in there, or as long as you can. You can start for a few minutes and then build it up for, it has to be 20 minutes, but you can build it up gradually. And you're literally just swishing it in your mouth. And what that does, it releases also, it's also good for to detox, and it releases a lot of toxins out of your body, and it's very, very healing for your gums. I've actually have quite a few patients with periodontal disease that have tried that method, and it works, but not everybody, I don't have too many to say for sure, because it does require for you to do it on a daily basis. If you're interested, I can send you some information on oil pulling. It's something that's known to help periodontal disease. It might even help you to reduce that buildup. So if people have a lot of buildup, a lot of tartar, we call calculus, or it sometimes has to do with the amount of carbohydrates you consume. Is it something recent, or you've had it for a long time?
Whole life, my whole life since I was a child.
So it's genetic. So it's something, the consistency of your saliva that's making you produce it. So there's unfortunately not much you could do about that. What you could do is you have to be really, really diligent with your home care also. I highly recommend electric toothbrushes, and things like brushes that go in between the teeth that help gums. I don't know, do they tell you what to do, how to clean your gums and your teeth? Do they go over it?
Yeah, they put like, they said that they have to do it with a certain angle, and also the water pick is.
And a water pick, exactly. So electric toothbrush, proxy brushes, floss, water pick. You have to do a lot of mechanical cleaning at home. But also try oil pulling. I wonder if that's going to make a difference.
I did try it, but I never tried like you said for 20 minutes. I tried maybe like 2-3 minutes max.
Yeah, that's fine. You can start, but then add on. Just try to like build it up to 20 minutes, and you have to do it for a certain period of time to see the results. Like anything natural, anything, holistic, you have to it has to be like for a long period before you start seeing any results. Try it, see if that makes a difference.
Okay.
But
thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a quick question. With turmeric, are there any counterindications? Is there such thing as too much, or is it safe to
I've
use it
looked
liberally?
it up. I have had that asked before. The only thing I would worry about, if anything, would be the pill form, because I know a lot of people these days, because turmeric's starting to becoming a fad also, so people like, oh, no, it's healing, let's put it in a pill, let's take the pills. When you started to take it in such large doses in pills, I am not really sure. I don't know. I don't think there's anybody ever even followed up and did anything to see what it can do. I don't know. But not using it in food is totally safe. I mean, I've used it in everything, and there have been times when I was sick, it's in my chicken broth, it's in my golden milk at night that I drink. It's half a teaspoon here, quarter of a teaspoon here. Overall, maybe a couple of teaspoons a day. anything that's natural, our body has a way of eliminating it. So as long as we're not bombarding ourselves with it in the huge, enormous quantities, I don't see how that could be toxic. I don't think how it can be negative. Only if, again, if you really start to take it like in a pill form, people just take large amounts of it, maybe, but I haven't seen anything. So in food,
Thank you.
or like this, it shouldn't be an issue at all.
Thanks.
But I should look into it a little bit more. I forgot to mention one thing though. All of these ingredients is really important to have organic. Because I know when you can purchase all of this in any supermarket today. These are becoming household names, all of these spices. But the problem is if it's not organic, it actually has a lot of pesticides and all other chemicals that are used in traditional farming that you totally don't want in your food. So when you're using any of the ingredients, especially for healing, you want to make sure it's all organic and clean. So I forgot to mention that. There you go. So if you guys, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. You guys can also join my group, Start a Healthy New Year on Facebook. We share a lot of wonderful, healthy recipes, and you're welcome to share yours as well.